Hello and a very warm welcome to this week's episode of the Nditha Mindset Show with me, Irene Pato. Remember that the show is brought to you by Nditha Mindset Coaching, which is a personal development company that empowers women through coaching, and we also do live events, and also we do group coaching. And talking of live events, I'm so excited to to advise that we have a live event that's coming up in March. On the 25th of March, we have professional women's Indaba that's coming up. It's going to be a conference stroke dinner and dance, and it's going to be happening at Golden Peacock, and I'm so looking forward to it and inviting all the professional women, to be a part of it. If you'll be wanting to join us, DM me to get the ticket. The theme for the event is really building a strong personal brand, identity, leaving behind a powerful legacy. And we're going to have an amazing lineup of speakers, and I'm sure you're going to have an awesome time. And that said, I am so excited to bring you this episode of the Nditha Mindset Show. This is episode number 13. So if you have not caught any of the previous episodes that I've done, I'd like to encourage you to scroll back and check them out, because there's tons of value in the episodes that is going to help you and empower you to become the best version of yourself. Remember that this show is all about personal development, mindset change, self-motivation, and helping you to become the best version of yourself. And we strive to bring you interviews and discussions with people that have made strides in their own lives, in the hope that you will be able to see your own story in their story, and that you're going to be propelled to grow and to move forward in your own story. I am so excited to bring you this episode, and in today's episode, I'm going to be sitting down with an amazing, inspirational young woman who is all the things, and I can't wait to introduce her to you. So, a very warm welcome to the show, Doc.
Thank you.
All right, great stuff. And I'll give you a minute to settle down. And as you're doing that, I'm just going to go ahead and introduce you. So my guest today is Dr. Asante Lusentenje. She is an associate professor in the Department of English at the University of Malawi. And we want to sit down with her to talk about raising the bar, and achieving excellence, and want to learn from her story so that we can all be inspired. Doc, a very warm welcome. And for those that have never heard of you, please go ahead and give us a little bit more detail to who you are.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting me to this show. It's a pleasure, and it's an honor to talk to you and just to inspire anyone who's on the same path as I am, just to let them know that it's doable. So as you have already said, as you have already introduced me, I am Asante Lusentenje. I was born, rather, let me start from the beginning.
Yes.
I was born on the 8th of January. I was born on the 8th of January, 1986, to Professor and Mrs. Ntenje. And I have two sisters. I'm a Zomba girl, through and through. I'm a Zomba girl because I was raised in Zomba. So Zomba is my home. That's where I'm also working. I have a strong passion for Zomba. So by profession, I teach at the University of Malawi. I'm an associate professor in literature in the Department of English at the University of Malawi. So I've been working at the University of Malawi for this is my 11th year. I joined in 2012, so this is my 11th year. I did my primary school in Zomba at Zomba Private Primary School, and then I went to Marymount Secondary School for my secondary education. After that, I was selected to come to Chancellor College, University of Malawi, in 2002 I studied a Bachelor of Arts in Humanities degree. So I have a BA Humanities degree. From there, after my tertiary education, I studied for a master's degree in literature, and I graduated in 2012. I did it at University of Malawi. From there onwards, I started teaching, and then I went for my PhD in 2014, and I graduated with a PhD in English Studies in 2016. So that's it about my journey in terms of education and where I was born. Who am I? I'll just say something about what I like doing in what I value the most. Other than my job, I value my job. I value teaching. But in my personal life, I value spending time with my family, my nieces and nephews. Those are my beloved, my beloved, and they make my heart whole. So among other things, I enjoy spending time with my family. I enjoy spending time with my nieces and nephews. I enjoy reading. I enjoy traveling. I also enjoy watching movies and visiting new places. So I think, in summary, I think that's how I would introduce myself.
Very well said. And it's just amazing to me that you're so young, and I'm thinking professors are supposed to be old. So kudos to you that you've been able to do what you've been able to do in such a short time. But I would want to find out, to say, as you were growing up, what is it that you really wanted to become? Did you know that this is a path that you wanted to take, or how was that journey like for you?
Okay. Let me say that I never planned to be in academia. That was the last thing that I ever thought I would do. I actually liked telling people that I actually stumbled upon my purpose, because I consider now teaching as my purpose. But it's something that I never thought I would do. I just stumbled upon it. And I eventually discovered that that is what I'm supposed to be doing. But when I was growing up, I didn't want to teach. I never wanted to teach. I had a lot of ambitions growing up. One thing that I knew was that I had always had a curious mind. I've always been interested in knowing things, in finding out how this works, why this is like this. So I've always had a curious mind from the beginning. And I've always had a love for knowledge. And that started when I was young, when I was reading. And I've always been a reader. I've always loved reading and discovering new things, just discovering new worlds. So reading for me was my safe place, because my personality generally is very introverted. Those that know me very well will know that I'm very introverted. I love solitude. I love quiet times. So part of that solitude, part of that introversion made me find a lot of solace in reading. So, and as I read, my interest of knowing things, of finding out what works, why this works like this, why is this the case, increased. But again, like I said, my goals, my career goals were not in teaching. I moved from wanting to become, when I was young, I wanted to become a police officer, by the way. My parents always remind me of that. I wanted to become a police officer, and then I moved to wanting to become an air hostess. I wanted to become an air hostess. And then when I went to secondary school, I wanted to become, at some point I wanted to become a medical doctor. Then I saw that this is not my thing. I wanted to become an architect when I was in Form 1 and Form 2, but I was not good in mathematics. So I dropped that. At some point, because of peer pressure, I wanted to become a lawyer when I was in Form 3, somewhere there. But then I discovered that that was not my passion. So it has been a journey of finding myself. Let me put it that way. It has been a journey of finding myself, finding what I love, and eventually pursuing what I love. So when I went to university, I was not quite clear what I wanted to do. I knew that I loved reading. I knew that I loved pursuing knowledge. I knew that I loved questioning things. I wanted to know more. I wanted to gain knowledge, but I didn't know that I would end up teaching. So my career path when I was finishing university education was that I wanted to be a journalist. So that was my ambition when I was finishing. I was planning on becoming a journalist. Actually, my dream was to work at National Geographic Channel and, going into those strange places, finding out more about people in remote areas. That was my dream. And actually, my first job after university was as a reporter and an editor at Pride magazine. So I worked there for a year, and then I decided that somehow I was not fulfilled. I think what I thought I would find in joining that profession did not turn out to be what I expected. So I decided to go back in 2012. No, sorry, not in 2012, 2009. It's a long time ago, so I'm forgetting the years.
It's okay.
Yeah, but I decided to go back to school to do a master's in literature because, like I said, I'd always enjoyed reading. I'd always enjoyed storytelling. I'd always enjoyed literature. It was my thing. It has been my passion for years. So when I joined the master's program, I was given the opportunity to tutor students on behalf of my professor at that time, the professor that was teaching me and supervising me. So he decided to take me under his wing by giving me a class that I was supposed to tutor. And the first day I went into class, and my professor that day happened to be away, so he asked me to teach a topic because he didn't want to lose any time. So he asked me to teach a topic. And the first day that I went, I was scared. Of course, I'd never done it before. But the first day that I went to class changed my life. And that was the beginning of the long relationship with teaching. So that first class was the beginning of the career path that I've now taken. So like I said, I stumbled upon it. It was never part of the plan. But I'm glad I took that career path. Yeah, so I think, I'm not sure if I'm answering the question that,
yes,
you asked.
You are.
Yeah.
You are, and like hearing you talk about your journey, it's sort of like just gives everyone the okay to say that not everyone gets to have a clear-cut view of exactly what they're going to do with their life. And if you're in that space, you're a student or you're not a student, but at the moment you're not feeling fulfilled with what you're doing, perhaps you have not yet found the thing that you're supposed to be doing, but be rest assured that eventually life is going to work out in that you're going to find the exact thing that you're supposed and you're meant to do. And Doc, thank you so much for sharing that journey. So from hearing your story, it has not just been a straightforward path. You were a journalist at some point and you decided to go back to school. So many people go back to school to do masters and to do whatever, to do further studies, but they face the challenges of not being able to complete the program within the stated timelines. Looking at your work, it appears to me you did your programs within 2 years. You were done with the masters and the PhD and everything. What would you say drove you to be able to complete, not just start, but complete?
Of course, people's lives are different. Yes. Everybody has a different career path. Everybody has different demands to their time. So there's not what works for me and what would how I would finish a program is not exactly the same way as how someone else would finish, because we all have different lives, different demands to our time. So, but for me, how I was able to finish. Let me talk about my PhD first, mainly because my master's took longer because of other logistical issues. I didn't finish my master's in 2 years because there was a time when our university was closed for a long time due to other reasons. So it took longer to finish. But for the PhD, I was able to finish in 3 years in the stipulated time. One, mostly because of the fact that I was on a scholarship and I needed to finish. I could not afford to finish. But besides that was one thing that pushed me. But something else that also enabled me to finish was the support system that I've always had. I have to acknowledge the role that my family plays in grounding me, in sustaining me, in making, in helping me be where I am. And I'm not just talking about financial support, but I'm also talking about the emotional support. And I think for me, that was what was crucial for me to finish. Those that have been on that journey before, on studying journey before, know how difficult it is, how much pressure it is, and it can make you lose your mind somehow. Especially if you don't have a support system that grounds you, that supports you through, encouragement, that supports you through prayers, that supports you through just taking you, just telling you, affirming you. And I've always been blessed in that sense that I have a family that grounds me, that affirms me, that supports me, that believes in me. So even in the moments that I thought I would not do it, my parents would tell me that you have come this far, you do it, you're going to do it, you can do this. My sisters would encourage me, would say positive things about me and make me believe in myself again. And I've been blessed to have very good friends as well, my soul sisters, that always keep me going, always affirm me, always keep me going, always encourage me to do bigger things, to do better. So I've had a good support system that keeps me going and that made me finish on time, that made me not to give up. But on the other hand, it has also been my passion. Passion has always been my driving force to do what I do without giving up. So even in the moments that I thought this is too much, I can't do it, I always remembered why I'm doing this. Why am I doing this? Why am I here? What do I want to achieve? What is the goal? My eyes have always been on the prize. Eyes on the prize. What do you want from this? What do you want to gain from this? So it's that drive, it's that passion that made me pursue the dream. The grit came from the passion. And it has always been a driving force for me to do what I do, and to make me finish what I've started on time. But it was not easy. I'm going to say it was not easy, but I've had support system that keeps me grounded, that keeps me going. My passion has been the driving force to make me not look at the pitfalls, but to always focus on the prize.
It's so good. It's so important that we also stress the fact that, it's not always smooth sailing. Sometimes when the person has accomplished the goal and you're writing it in a caption, it appears easy that somebody is a doctor and is an associate professor, but I'm sure it has taken a lot of work and a lot of grit. And it's so good that you mentioned that you've had challenges along the path. Do you mind sharing some of the key challenges that you remember and how you overcame them?
The field of the profession that I'm in, and the career path that I've taken it requires a lot of sacrifice, and it requires a lot of grit. It requires sometimes because of the fact that it's a lot of pressure, it requires a lot of grit, it requires a lot of sacrifice. Sometimes the effects end up affecting your health. Let me start with that. So to the extent that sometimes you get to, because you have to sacrifice a lot of sleep, a lot of opportunities just to relax, it gets to your mind and it can affect your health. So I remember in my final, let me talk about the challenge, the major challenge that I met, especially when I was studying, the final year that I was studying. I actually I battled a month or two of being depressed because of the pressure and me not being able to deliver what I had to do. I had a writing block for a month, and I was in my final year of study. I knew I had to finish, but whatever, regardless of what I tried to do, I couldn't do it, and that led me further and further into a depression. The more I tried, the more I couldn't do it, and I was depressed for a long time. And it had to take help from psychological help from my family members, but also me seeking professional help. I was lucky that in the university that I was in, they have structures where they provide counseling for students going through different problems. So I actually had to recognize the fact that I was struggling mentally. I had a I'm having a depressive episode. I can't get out of it on my own, so I needed to seek help. So I went and talked to a counselor that was provided by the school. I had some sessions for I think about 2 weeks, and after that I saw that things were improving. And again, my supervisor, part of the support system came through my supervisor, who was always supportive, who was very she was God sent, let me put it that way. I think at that point she was God sent to be my supervisor. So she kept me going again, supported me in different ways until the time that I was able to start again. But that's one of the challenges that I met. The journey is not easy. You encounter health challenges such as that. And I guess part of the struggles that I also met was that I in the same year that I was supposed to finish in 2016, the same year that was the final year of my PhD, I was actually diagnosed with diabetes. So it was another challenge that I had to navigate. How do I change my entire lifestyle? This is my health at risk, but I'm also studying at the same time, but I have to negotiate studying, living healthily, and finishing on time. So what do I do? So it is a journey that has been full of challenges, but again, what kept me going was the dream or the goal that I had in mind, and it kept me going. So I wouldn't say that as we have been highlighting, it has not been easy, and these are some of the challenges. There are some challenges that came after I was done, and there are some challenges that I still meet even up to now, but it's always been about the goal. It has always been about my passion. It has always been about looking forward and forgetting and finding ways of getting ahead, finding ways of overcoming the challenges.
So good. So good. Thank you so much for being kind enough to share that with us. And I think that it's important that to all the ladies that are watching this, I see you, Annette, I see you, Tapiwa, I see you guys. Thank you for being on the other side. I'm sure that by hearing Dr. Asante's story, we are able to even see our own stories. And then we can be encouraged that no matter what the challenges come on our path, we can get past them, and we always, if we have to be able and willing to seek support where need be. And I think that just to highlight that the services that we offer in terms of coaching is also something that you can make use of, whether you're struggling in your personal life, in your career life, or in your business life, or in academic life. Be sure to use those services, because you get value from it, and you can be able to get out of the woods. Thank you so much, Doc, for sharing that piece of information with us, and kudos for surpassing that and being on the other side and having us here celebrating that you're here now. It's so cool. Thank you so much for the grit that you've showcased for us, and you're an example of what is possible. Thank you for that. And I'm thinking we don't have a lot of the question I want to ask you is, how does it feel to be an associate professor at your age, now that it's all said and done and it's happening? How does it feel to be an associate professor? I just think it's so cool.
It is cool, I guess, because I think if you're in the academy, the final goal is always to become a professor. That's the final goal, and for me, that's my goal. That is my goal, and that's what I'm working towards. So yes, I don't in any way and I value what I've managed to accomplish, because I'm grateful, and I'm grateful for where I am. The fact that I'm associate professor, I'm grateful, and I'm proud of myself for the work that I've done. I'm very proud of myself. But at the same time, it gives me motivation again that this is not the end of the journey, because the goal is to become professor. So associate professor is a rank below professor. So if I get so happy with being associate professor, who knows, I might become complacent and, you know, just remain where I am. So there's a lot of work. There's still a lot of work. Actually, there's a lot of work to be done for me to get to the next level. So yes, I'm proud of my achievements. I'm happy with where I am. But again, I realize that there's a lot that I still need to do. There's a lot that I still need to do to get to the next level. So I'm not just satisfied that, okay, I'm here now. There's a next step that I have to think of all the time. That how am I going to get there? That's the goal. The goal is to become professor. So how am I going to get there? So I'm not going to become complacent by the fact that I'm associate professor now. Yeah. So it's a mixed feeling of being proud, happy, but at the same time being determined that you have to get to the next level.
Oh my gosh, that just gave me chills. That is such a good response. It's like, you know, even if you are like the best, but if you stop and you stop moving, the thing is other people are going to surpass you. So you always have to be on top of your toes, you know, develop that Nditha mindset and develop that mindset that says a growth mindset to say what is the next best challenge for me and what am I targeting next. I think that is so powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I also want you to just touch on the people that look up to you. Maybe they're young people, you're a lecturer, they're young people that look up to you. What advice would you give them to succeed in their academic pursuits?
The advice that, let me start with a more general advice, and then I'll move on to advice that is specifically for girls, for women. General advice, you need to know what you want. Start by knowing who you are and what you want. What does success mean to you? So whatever it is that you define as success, put the steps to accomplish that success for you. So start with knowing yourself, be aware of who you are, what you want, and then put the steps in plan. And then put the steps, the necessary steps that you need to get to that dream of yours, to that goal of yours. And so generally that's what I would say. And I guess I'm not saying something new, but I want to now move to a mindset change that is required for anyone to be successful, for anyone to get to the dream that they have, to get to the goal that they have. And I'm glad that your show is called Nditha Mindset, because what I want to talk about is that Nditha part, that I can do it. Because sometimes we end up accusing other people of being an obstruction, of impeding us to get to the next level, of being there, of being haters, of being all sorts of things. When in fact, the main reason why you have not been able to do what you wanted to do is you. The limited mindset that you have placed on your mind. So a lot of us have limited ourselves into what we can do, what we can achieve. Maybe because of where we come from, and I'm not in any way undermining the fact that there are certain struggles that disadvantage people. I'm not in any way undermining that. But what I want to highlight here is the idea of having a mindset that is limited, deciding this is how far but this is how I can, this is how much I can ever do, this is how much I can ever achieve, and you blame others for when in fact you didn't. You were not self-aware enough to realize that the problem is you. You have limited yourself. You are afraid of what you can do. You're afraid of becoming who you were meant to be, limited because of a limited mindset. And again, I've seen, so that's why I said that I'll start with a general advice and then I'll go to talk about, I'll tailor the advice to women, to girls. Especially, let me especially talk to girls, because this is the kind of advice that I mostly tell my female students when they come to, when I get the opportunity to talk to them. Most of the girls have internalized this idea that there's only so much that they can do. Beyond that, some of the girls that I've met, brilliant girls, but they have this limited mindset. I can't go beyond this because of various factors. Our patriarchal society that has told women that there's only so much you can do. You can't be too ambitious. And there are so many narratives that that are associated with that. I think we'll spend the whole day talking about that. But anyway, so for girls, most of them have limited themselves to just being penabagi, not dreaming big enough, and that is the that is the mindset that I want to challenge, and I want girls to have big dreams that are bigger than what they have ever imagined, and to realize that there are people that have managed, people like them, women like them, that have managed to overcome challenges, that have managed to dream big enough and get to that point. So if others have done it, why can't they do it? So it's a mindset change that I want to emphasize on women and the limitations that we often place on ourselves. And it's good. I'm happy that in this year, in the last 5 years, we've seen women getting into positions that some years ago we never thought women would do. So there are so many role models that we have, role models of women doing great things, showing us that it's doable. So for young girls, stop listening to people that are telling you that you can't do it. You can do it. So even in academia, and I know that academia, the context that we're in, it's more male dominated, and it seems like it's a domain for women, for men. And again, I'm here to change that assumption that academia is for men. It's not for men. There are women like us, and again, there are also women that inspire me within this institution and within other academic institutions, women that are doing big things, women that are getting to the top, and women that have not allowed themselves to be to listen to the limiting beliefs about what they are because of their gender. So academia is not a domain for men. It's not a male preserve. It's for everyone. It's open for everyone. So if there are women, if there are girls that are aspiring to be academics, go for it. It's not a domain that is meant for men. It's for everyone. Yes.
So good. So good. And I'm wondering, I love the point that you've made about how so many girls limit themselves in terms of how far they can go with their education. Some people, after finishing their first degree, I think they don't even think about doing a master's degree. They don't even think about it at all. I'm wondering that for you, of course, your dad was also a professor. Did that have an impact on then the decisions that you made to keep on going and rising up the ladder? Because I know your sister, she's also a doctor. She's a Dr. Atikonda. You know what I mean? It's just, did that have a role in your home that made you believe and go like, you know what, we can be whatever it is that we want, and we can go for whatever lofty goals that were there for you guys to pursue?
Yes, like I said at the beginning, I've been blessed to have a supportive family.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I'm grateful for is having parents, my mom and my dad, parents that believed in you, parents that have always thought that their daughters can do anything. So from a young age, we were affirmed. From a young age, we were told that anything that we wanted to do, we could do. And there was no room for being lazy. So it's not something that you just develop out of nowhere. It's something that started by being trained at a young age to love reading, to be disciplined. I remember when in primary school we actually had reading time that was set by our parents. That after school you need to go. You can't just start reading. You just can't start going. You can't start playing before you actually do your homework after coming from school. That there were reading times that we had to do. We had to have reading times. We had to do we had to be disciplined enough to know that schoolwork has to be done entire school. And then playtime is there, but after I've done what I'm supposed to do. And during exam times, we had study periods that we needed to abide by. And my dad, I remember my dad would now, in the evening after coming back from work, he would now come, he would ask us, okay, Mawelenga, yes, so if you haven't, he would know that you have not read, because if he asks you questions, your answers would show that you were just playing, you were not reading. So my point is, we were, from a young age, we were instilled with this desire to learn, desire to gain knowledge, desire to value education, desire to be disciplined from a very young age. So as we grew older, it was not difficult for us to pursue educational goals, because we had already been instilled with that kind of discipline from a young age. When we were growing up, we thought it was, we thought our parents were just being very strict and being strict and, you know, being unkind. But we saw the value of that. We saw the value of instilling discipline when we now started pursuing our own dreams. So, and again, back to, you know, back to being inspired by the parents. Our parents were always buying us books, because they valued a lot of they valued knowledge. So our parents were always buying us books, making us read different kinds of books. And that time, of course, we didn't have TV, but we had video. Of course, we'd watch over the weekend. But our parents, I remember our parents were always interested in making us watch videotapes of other places, documentaries of other places, as a way of exposing us to different ideas, different worldviews. So it was not just the reading; it was also them introducing us to different worldviews through videos, through music, through travel within Malawi. Our parents were always interested in taking us to visit new places. And when we go to a place, there would be a historical talk about that. My parents were always interested in us knowing more about the place. So those are the values that we grew up with, and they helped as we progressed with our careers. So I have to say I am where I am because of my parents and the discipline that they instilled in me, that they instilled in me and my siblings from a very young age.
So good. And thank you so much for sharing that. It acts as a reminder to all of us watching this show, because some of us are parents and we've got, you know, young ones that are growing up. I think sometimes we tend to lax because of, you know, the way there's TV and people are, the kids are on the internet and all those things. I think that we still have to really work on inculcating those values at an early age, where kids are made to fall in love with reading and with big curiosity and wanting to develop in terms of their mindset and their love for education as well. So thank you so much for mentioning that. I think that is very important. And as we are about to wind up the show, I'm interested in finding out who is the person that has inspired you on your journey, apart from your parents. You've mentioned about your parents, but is there someone else that has inspired you, and can you share that with us?
I think it's a difficult question, because there are a number of people that have inspired me at different stages in my life.
Yes.
There are different stages in my life, and the inspiration touches on different aspects of who I am. And so it's difficult for me to just talk about one person that has inspired me. I've been inspired by authors, writers have greatly inspired me. I can talk about David Rubadiri having an inspiration on me, being there for me at a crucial age, when I was waiting to start a new journey of joining university, when I was in the world, after Form 4, in a time when I was unsure about myself. David Rubadiri, Professor David Rubadiri, he's late now, but Professor David Rubadiri played a huge role in inspiring me to think of myself in a different way, to think of myself as someone who's capable. So I can talk about that. I can talk about other writers that maybe changed that made me change my worldview in terms of what I can do as a writer, because I think I didn't mention the fact that I'm also a writer.
Oh, yeah.
So authors like Toni Morrison, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie have always inspired me as well. And I've also had inspiration from the women around me, my aunties, strong women that know who they are. Some of them have not really gone as far with their education as they would have wanted, but they've always been, assertive. They've always known who they are. They've always believed in themselves. So I've had aunties, I've had grandparents that believed in who they are, that believed in their purpose, and that believed in dreams and making dreams come true. There are a lot of people that inspire me. Like I said, different stages in my life, and different aspects of who I am. I've always had inspiration that covers different dimensions of who I am.
Yes, Doc is here. She's making her presence known. She's like, my sister, of course, your sister, and you guys are such geniuses. But now I know it's not just about being a genius, but you've really put in the work, girls, and we're so proud of you. I think you're an example of what is possible for us. And this is what Nditha Mindset is all about. It's about showcasing stories of normal Malawian people that have done great things with their lives because they decided to. In the same environment that we're in, they decided to be different. And I think that we can all borrow a riff from what you girls have done. And also, Doc, I would like to find out, do you have a personal habit, apart from reading, that serves you to remain on top of your game as an academic?
Okay, so you've already said no apart from reading.
Sorry.
Okay, so I love watching movies. I love watching. I know it's cheesy, but I love watching Hallmark movies.
Oh.
Yeah, very, and there's a reason for that. Yes, they're predictable. I know that predictable. Yeah, the story, you know where it's going to come from, but it has a way of calming me during a stressful day. During uncertain times, watching a Hallmark movie, a Hallmark movie, which you know is going to end in this particular way, has a way of calming you. Has a way of making life better because life is unpredictable. The real world is really unpredictable. So coming back to a movie that is very predictable has a way of calming you. So for me, I've developed this habit of watching Hallmark movies. But the value that they add to my life is that of calming me, making me peaceful. Yes, making me peaceful in a very turbulent world sometimes. So that's one of the habits that I've developed.
Good.
Yeah.
Good one. And as we are winding up this show, I'd like to thank you so much for having agreed to do this with us. It's been amazing. It's been incredible. And I'm wondering, for somebody that maybe wants to pursue the same space that you're in, they want to be an academic, maybe now they're just a normal lecturer, someday they want to be an associate professor and all that, like what would be your words of encouragement to them as we wind up the show?
So my words of encouragement would be that you should be you. Be you every day, be you. But make sure that you are better than who you were yesterday. So that's the advice that it's not about comparing yourself with others. It's not about competing with others. It's about being a better version of you each and every day, striving to be a better version of who you are every day. So even if you are in, regardless of the career that you are in, if you strive to be better than you were yesterday and still be authentically you, you are going to have a clear path of where you're going without having external influences that will distract you. So be you. Be you. Don't struggle. Don't bother yourself thinking about other people. Just be you, but aim to be better than you were yesterday. In other words, aim to be excellent. In everything that you do, aim to be excellent. So that's what I would say.
Thank you so much for that insight. And I think that there is a lot of work that we need to do in terms of knowing we are. Sometimes you grow up and you're 40 and you really don't know who you are. And when people are saying no, like learn to be you, you're like, who am I? You know, so it's okay to explore. It's okay to explore, and I think that I just want to mention that life coaching helps you to be able to do that, like to figure out who you really
Yes.
are. And once you figure out who you really are, you get to really be solid in terms of what you're doing with your life and all the things, and you're not really distracted by the outside influences. And so, ladies,
Yes.
I'm a life and transformation coach, and I help women to be able to figure out who they are, and also to like fend off some of the the blocks that are on their path. You were talking about how we limit ourselves. Those are things that we have to talk about. So if you are interested to learn more about yourself, to develop a positive relationship with yourself, do reach out to me. We can start working together at the earliest possible time. Otherwise, I've enjoyed having this conversation with you, Doc, and I'm so glad we did this.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having agreed to come here. And thank you, ladies, for watching. We appreciate you. We see you. And thanks for being there on the other side. Until next week, I'm Irene Pato, and we'll bring you another episode of the Nditha Mindset Show. It's been a pleasure. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.